collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Eight years after it was first promised, we're still no nearer to the liberalisation of our electricity market.
To find personnel, which is necessary for the new agencies. For example, the independent agencies, which are dealing with open market of electricity.
A disturbing exhibition looks behind the scenes at illegal bird trapping.
I realized that in a sequence, they look like some kind of bomb making. So they look dodgy as photographs. And if you see the book, the photographs are just objects on white background. It's nothing. So why does it look scary? There's something about them.
And rock legends Uriah Heep were in town this week. Their lead guitarist and founder tells us it's not as easy as it used to be going on tour.
You just have to look after yourself, make sure you get your 8 hours sleep, make sure you eat correctly, and you don't cane it in any direction. To be honest, you just have to temper everything down, because when you're younger you could handle it a lot better, and when you get older you don't handle it quite so well.
It seems incredible that yet again on the programme we're going to be talking about the opening up or not of the electricity market in Cyprus. It's been delayed yet again, as the House Energy Committee heard earlier this week. Their chair is Kyriakos Hadjiyannis, who joins us now. Kyriakos, what is going on with these delays? I have been talking about this, I think, for 10 years, is it?
Yeah, okay, this is the general way how it going this procedure. Actually, the last information is that we have another one small delay because of some technical needs. And we need to have in the parliament some small laws which are not prepared yet by the executive power. And we as parliament, we stress the importance to move very quickly or much faster than to wait, and this is the reason why we pressed all the time to move forward in direction of liberalization of the free market of electricity.
Now, considering the price of electricity in Cyprus, this is obviously of huge importance to every single citizen. But am I right in thinking that initially the government had promised to open up the electricity market by July 2014, and every couple of years since then it's been put back? First to July 2016, then to 2019, then to 2020, and now it was supposed to be opening in October this year. And that too is no longer going to happen. There surely has to be a way of sorting out these so-called technical problems. I mean, we've managed to do so much huge technology forward steps while the pandemic was on. So what's the problem?
The problem is not political. We have the same decision. Everything is passed through the parliament to go forward in the free market. It's a decision of the Republic of Cyprus, so nothing has been changed in this direction. The problem is that, and actually we are in the implementation phase, and we try to solve many problems. Actually, some of the problems are yet, unfortunately, legal forms, other are technical forms. And let's stay by technical form. The authorities, they are in a trial phase, and it was concluded the first phase, which had shown a lot of problems and needs for coordination, needs for further technical arrangements, etc., etc. So this phase was very necessary, and it was very with big success, because they have found a lot of problems, and they gave to all those problems a lot of solutions.
What sort of problems are they facing?
Technical solutions. It's also, you understand, software and coordination needs, etc. So the second phase which start now again, start of October, is to continue with a trial period, another 2 or 3 months, to put forward the procedure. Of course, also in this phase, they will find many technical problems, also other form of problems. And the need here is to find solutions also during this period. The problem by us now, in relation with behavior of the Parliament, is to pass a law which is give the opportunity to find personnel which is necessary for the new agencies. For example, the independent agencies which are dealing with the open market of electricity. This is a criticism which we do all the time to the executive authorities, why they haven't, until now, they haven't prepared this law. And yesterday we received the promise that they will move forward in this direction.
Well, we've had so many promises in the past. I'm not holding my breath that this one will be kept.
Of course, you understand that this is not an easy procedure. It's very difficult. If somebody deals with the electricity system, we have to be very careful because of the dangers that not to come in a blackout situation. And it's something that we are very afraid, and we do not want to have such a situation.
Why would we have a blackout just by opening up the market to other providers?
You know, we have to believe everybody that demand and supply has to work very, very punctually. And this is a big difficulty for the system. This is also why we need a long trial period and to adjust all the needs for coordination between the suppliers and the demand.
Now, the transmission system operator is the one, I think, that is overseeing this whole change, and currently it is employing staff from the Electricity Authority of Cyprus. Is that correct? Why doesn't it have its own staff?
Yeah, this is another one problem that we have to solve, and we have to solve this problem with a new law that we need to have by us in the Parliament. And this principle actually to be independent from the Electricity Authority, from the only one producer, this is the main problem that we have in front of us yet, and we have to solve through the law that we have to pass this from the Parliament.
Now then, I see in the newspaper it says that from the Ministry of Energy and Commerce, Haralambos Roussos conceded that there were delays in the ministry drafting and submitting the relevant regulations. It surely can't take 8 years to draft and submit the relevant regulations. They haven't changed in that time, have they?
I mean, this is a problem that they have to be finished with this regulation. It's not the question who is responsible for this. The question is the time plan. We need this regulation to have this in the Parliament. Until now, we don't have it. And they have to move very much faster.
What did the relevant departments say after your meeting earlier this week? Because I think you're also going to ask the President to intervene.
So this is not important. Important is not to say who is responsible and who has the responsibility. Important is to declare timetables, how we move. We need to be very precisely to the time plan that all of us, we have to respect these timetables. It means that everybody from us has to do a special work in all of our responsibilities. For this reason, we have to see who is doing what and when.
Well, it seems that a lot of people aren't doing anything about it, Kyriakos. Where do you go from here? I mean, you say that...
They are doing a lot. For example, all the authorities, they are doing a lot. It is a lack of regulation, and this is the main point. We have to focus on it.
So when is the new deadline for this opening up? Because am I right in thinking that already we have got companies that have expressed their interest and I think even been approved to supply electricity?
Yeah, the deadline, is very flexible. Actually, we need these regulations to pass through the parliament when we have it in front of us. And from the other side, the project is running with very good success in relation with trial periods. And this task actually is going very well.
So when will we get an opportunity to choose who supplies our electricity at a price we can afford?
I think you are looking for a special statement about the exact timetable, actually. So what I want to say is that we have to move very quickly. It's necessary to move until the end of the year, start of the next year, to finalize also the second trial period. And at the end of this trial period, we will be in the near of the end of this process.
Well, we certainly hope so. Kyriakos Hadjiannis, Chair of the House Energy Committee, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
At the beginning of this week at the Leventis Gallery, a very unusual and indeed I would say important exhibition opened. It's partly organised by BirdLife Cyprus, but the original idea came from one of my next guests on this week's programme. He is well known in Cyprus as a photographer, but he's come up with an idea that is going to have, I hope, a very big impact on our consciousness for preserving our environment. He is Silvio Rusmigo. Silvio, this was quite shocking, actually. I've covered bird trapping in Cyprus many times, as Tassos, who's also with us, will confirm, but it really does bring it home to people who perhaps don't know what's going on. What gave you the idea in the first place?
I always wanted to do something I had to do with this issue. I must admit, maybe out of fear or out of lack of knowledge of how to showcase it. I never tried to attack it, but during my MA at UAL, I decided it was a good chance because there was people that know a lot more than me to help me guide me through this process. And I decided to tackle the illegal bird trapping that happens in Cyprus, because in reality, it's a lot bigger and a lot scarier than what people know in daily life.
Yeah, well, I think it's very confusing that a lot of Cypriots say, oh, but we've done this for hundreds of years. But no, they haven't, because this is now big organised crime, isn't it? And if we've seen, as I have, and I'm sure you have, some of the films of the Committee Against Bird Slaughter people who come over from Europe and get beaten up badly. And then you also highlighted all the equipment that is used. This is no longer an old man going out with a lime stick to catch dinner, is it? It's something very much more dangerous.
Yeah, the work started from a photographic series. As a photographer, it was natural to me. I started photographing. And I went to Tassos in the beginning at BirdLife and Martin Helikar, and we started discussing how I can, find maybe objects used to capture these birds. So they sent me to the British police at the Gelia, and they took me into their storage units and they showed me the objects, and I was shocked. The amount of organization and DIY ingenuity that falls into this thing is crazy. And the other thing is that the scale is immense. It was, after photographing for a few months and looking at my photographs, I realized that in a sequence, they look like some kind of bomb making. So they look dodgy as photographs. And if you see the book, the photographs are just objects on white background. It's nothing. So why does it look scary? There's something about them. And then this evolved into a book. And from a book, we said, well, why should it be just a book about illegal bird trapping? Maybe, let's evolve this into something that touches people even more and puts them in the experience of being in the field and investigating all of this. And why not make it about all environmental issues and how we as a society either choose to ignore it or hear it and maybe discuss it at a dinner table and that's it. Maybe, make people, I don't know, more afraid of it or more aware of it. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Can I talk to you a little bit about the film? Because it was very moving, very scary as well. But then we went upstairs to the actual exhibition, and have to say it was disappointing that we couldn't do the interactive stuff that you showed in the movie. Yeah. Now, why was that?
So the project has now been 6 years in the making. A lot has changed over the last few years. But one thing that happened was that we had, with BirdLife, gotten a grant from the MAVA Foundation. And that grant was to present the book and create this exhibition that you see in the documentary. But then we got struck with COVID. And of course, during the COVID era, people couldn't interact, people couldn't be close to each other, and this still lingers on. Like today, we're at the Levendis Gallery, and still there's restrictions over COVID. So we could not at any point have an interactive exhibition with soil and hands touching soil and water and all of that. So we decided to keep it in the documentary as a potentially future exhibition. And in the Levendis Gallery, which also has restrictions because it's the Levendis Gallery, there's artwork, you can't bring soil and things in the building, to create a sort of manifesto, an evolution of the project, and make people feel the same, hopefully.
Well, if they go to the exhibition, of course, you do have the movie showing in the exhibition room, so they can sit down and watch it and then understand what the static displays are actually representing.
Exactly.
Tassos, let me come to you. We've spoken how many times about the problem of bird trapping in Cyprus?
Millions.
And this really does, I think, bring it home to people. Are you, do you think, going to be able, as BirdLife Cyprus, along with Silvio, once these restrictions are lifted, to find a venue? Probably the best place would be in the southeastern part of the island, where so much of this illegal activity goes on, to actually put up that exhibition as it's shown in the film, because it really is something else.
I mean, we hope so. Originally, that was the plan, have it in the southeast, in Limassol and in Nicosia. It would have been in 3 places. Due to COVID, things changed, but actually also the documentary evolved because of COVID, which is an amazing tool that originally hadn't been planned. And yes, we hope that we'll do, and we hope even to take it bigger internationally. Because this exhibition doesn't just talk only about illegal bird trapping in Cyprus, it actually talks about wildlife crime as part of the society, and how do we deal with this? Do we choose to ignore it? We're aware of it, but we don't do anything. We are part of it and we're contributing and supporting it. This is really what I think there's a reflection, and I'm sure other people will be interested to see it internationally.
Well, it's basically saying, isn't it, that if you don't do anything, you're complicit in the illegal activity.
Pretty much, yes. It has to do with any kind of wildlife crime.
And what about taking it round schools?
Yes, I mean, definitely the documentary, maybe not secondary schools for sure, they would be able to screen it. But yes, for sure, it's something that we have thought about, schools, presenting it, speaking with the artists, universities, how they were inspired to develop and deal with them. We want every single part of the society to be involved, because this work speaks by itself, It's one of the most amazing works I've seen in my 10 years dealing with illegal bird trapping as a campaigns coordinator. They really speak for us, and it's amazing to have this kind of collaborations with artists like Silvio, Thalis, Omiros, and Kostas.
That is Tassos Shalis from BirdLife Cyprus. One last comment from you, Silvio, because you were the originator of this whole project. Is that the end of this, or is there more to come, or is there something else that's now grabbed your attention? Because it's a very powerful tool to make citizens actually get involved in the future of all of us and, of course, of their children.
Well, I mean, firstly, thank you for your interest and caring so much about this work. It means a lot to me. And at the same time, yes, there's a lot of projects underway. One specifically about how in Cyprus we've kind of think of nature as something secondary and not as something powerful, like they do in other countries that maybe nature is a bit more, of a large presence. But as far as this exhibition goes, it's also a call to other creatives and artists that when you put your creativity and power and align it with scientific knowledge or social issues, that the marriage between these two things can create something I think that touches people and that is bigger than just, I made this art or, it's a part of a movement.
Well, I think over the centuries anyway, artists and creatives have always been, I would say, political or activating something. So congratulations to both of you. How long is the exhibition running?
It's until the 9th of October. And it's at the Age 11 Disc Gallery. It works on the times of the gallery, so please visit and let us know.
We've been talking to Silvio Rusmigo, the photographer whose idea germinated into that extraordinary exhibition, and Tassos Chalis, the campaigns manager of BirdLife Cyprus. And I do urge you to go down to the Leventis Gallery in central Nicosia before that exhibition, Red Soil, ends on the 9th of October.
This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Earlier this week, Limassol and then Nicosia were rocking to the sounds of Uriah Heep, well remembered by rock fans, particularly of a certain age like me. They were last here in Cyprus, I think, back in 2014, although I'm not absolutely sure. So it's a great pleasure to welcome to this week's programme their founder, Mick Box. Mick, when was it you were last here in Cyprus?
You know what, I can't remember. We play in 62 countries, so it's kind of hard to keep track.
It might have been...
Sounds about right, I have to say, yes.
OK, I know it was some time ago because I spoke then to Russell Gilbrook, and you had a great reception on the concerts back then, and you're back here for the 50th anniversary tour, but it's actually a bit more than 50, isn't it?
Well, it's actually 52, thank you, COVID.
So, when you had to go into lockdown, what did you do? Because you had to put a lot of things on hold, I guess.
Yeah, well, our touring schedule was totally wiped out. So, we did what most people do. You get time to do things that you don't normally get around to doing. But I also did a lot of things like I did lockdown diaries, for videos and stuff like that. And I started a thing called Ask Mick. So people could ask me stuff and then I'd send a video back with the answer. And, many things like that just to keep busy. And of course, we were writing for a new album as well, which is now in the can and it will be released probably in January next year. So we just kept busy doing everything we could really, going out walking the dog, stuff, getting some fresh air and everything like that, But it was a trying time because it's the longest I've ever been at home in my life, I think.
Well, I think that's true of absolutely everybody, and I don't know about you, but I find sitting at home, which we still are to some degree, very bad for the brain cells.
Well, it is. That's why you keep busy doing other things, to be honest, and writing and doing videos for people and stuff like that. It just keeps you active and in touch, which is more important.
Now, you've been with the band since the very beginning, and it wasn't the first band you were in, but it has, over the years, gone through a lot of changes, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of changes, but it's like any marriage, if you like. You get married and you think it's going to last forever, and people grow differently, and I think it's the same as in a band, to be honest. Certain people, grew differently. They didn't want to do touring anymore. They didn't want to do the extensive tour that we do and the recording schedule we keep, They wanted to stay at home or become a songwriter or do something different. And then, of course, we had a couple of casualties along the way with, drugs and drink. So, Yeah, there's many reasons why we had quite a few people come through the band, but the good thing about that is that everybody that's been in the band has been, as a musician, of the highest calibre, and I think that's kept the bar up very high for Uriah Heep.
But how has all that change affected the sort of music you make?
Oh, well, you know, as long as I'm there, it will always be Uriah Heep. You know, I formed the band at the beginning, you know, and I had a very strong idea of how it should sound. And we developed a template, a musical template, back with our first album, you know, which had the hammered organ, the wah-wah guitar, 5-part harmonies, and things like that. And we always used harmony as another instrument as opposed to just singing sweetly over a chorus. So we kind of you know, had that template, and we kept it all the way through, you know, and it appears to have done us very well because, you know, we sold over 40 million albums, we played concerts in 62 countries. I had no complaints.
How far are the audiences that you get these days composed of younger people who've just discovered your music? Because I always think it's amazing. I mean, I'm a child of 70s music, if you like, and I do seem to think that it's had much greater staying power than a lot of the stuff that came later.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think it was very real back then, you know. It was real musicians going to the studio playing together, and whereas nowadays it's kind of like everyone's sharing files, you know, and doing it on Pro Tools, doing it on computers, you know, whereas we did it very analog, nothing digital at all. And I think that warmth and creativity came through, and I think that's why it's long-lasting, to be honest. Plus, you know, the songwriting was brilliant in those days because, you know, it was a great time, especially in London, I would say, late 60s, early 70s, where it was very creative. Lots of things were happening. There was a big kind of rebellion going on, if you like. Everyone grew their hair. You know, it came out of that era where it was just all everyone in nice suits doing little dance moves and small combos behind them, into the long hair bell bottoms and Marshall stacks, you know, with their own skyline. So everyone was bigger and better and louder, you know.
On a more serious note, you lost Lee Kerslake to cancer and also Ken Hensley, and that was fairly recent, wasn't it? What impact did that have on the rest of the band members?
I think it affected me more than anyone because, you know, especially Lee, it was like a brother of me. You know, we were like brothers with different mothers, if you like. You know, we travelled the world together. I think it impacted everyone, but I think because I was so close to everyone that has passed away, I think it kind of it shocked me more than anything. I mean, I was numb for weeks, you know, to be fair.
And very difficult, of course, because it was during COVID, to really connect with other people who might have supported, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you know, COVID sort of put an end to that, didn't it? You know, where you can't sit in a room and just go through that sort of stuff, you know, to help you along. You know, you just have to deal with it yourself. But, you know, that's okay. I've got, you know, a good family background. I've got a lovely family to support everything I do. So, you know, they help me through.
And when you're on tour, I mean, how does the family cope with that? Do they come with you ever?
Occasionally, yeah. I mean, once they come along and they think it's all glory, and then they find out how much hard work it is, and you do 8 hours in a van before you even go to work that night, and you know you haven't got time to eat, you just have a shower and you run on stage, you know, and you do a great show. They kind of the glamour kind of gets the shine goes off it.
And
so, yeah, occasionally they'll come out to one or two of the shows, you know, through this tour, for instance. But you know, it's not that they're going to be with me all the time on the road, no.
And what about the physicality of touring? Because, I mean, you'll accept, I'm sure if I say you're not getting any younger, none of us are. So how difficult is it? How do you keep fit?
I think, you know, bottom line is if you want to continue doing what you love doing, you know, and as passionately as you do, you just have to look after yourself, you know, make sure you get your 8 hours sleep, make sure you eat correctly, and you don't cane it in any direction. To be honest, you know, you just have to temper everything down because when you're younger, you can handle it a lot better, and when you get older, you don't handle it quite so well. So, you know, it's one of those things that you have to, you know, get your life under control and to continue what you love to do.
Are there any countries you haven't been to that you would like to play in?
At the moment, no. I mean, I used to say an answer to that question would be probably China, but I'm not too keen to go there now for many reasons.
So you've got no unfulfilled ambitions?
I think I'm still ambitious. We still want to, continue playing around the world, and you're always trying to write the next best song, best album, and all that stuff. So there's still many goals in front of me.
And you mentioned an album that you've been recording. Has it been released yet? I think it's early next year, is it?
It'll be early next year, yeah. Because at the moment, it's in the can, the record company have it, and I think they're just looking at a time to release it when they best feel it, it will benefit them, to be honest. We're in the middle of this 50th anniversary tour that will take us up to December the 14th, I think, over 50 shows, and I think that, once that's tucked away, we'll start looking at the new album and promoting that. That's when the record company will release it. And
that's when I suppose you'll be planning another tour to showcase
100%.
That.
Yeah, there's already been talked about now. We're looking at going to America, etc., etc. So, yeah, it's a never-ending journey, to be fair. But long may it last.
No rest for the wicked, and I'm sure that's the way you'd like to keep it.
Yes, it's a rock and roll roller coaster, let me tell you.
Mick Box, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Enjoy your stay in Cyprus. Hopefully you'll get a little time for R&R in between your gigs, and many thanks for giving me your time.
My pleasure. Keep on rocking, and thanks for your support. And hopefully we'll see you again with a new album.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.